Welcome, folks, to Why Not Mint Money. This is Neil Burate from the Mint Money team. And today I have one of India's biggest podcasters, if not the biggest, Ranveer Allahbadia, and also one of India's biggest YouTube and social media influencers. Welcome, Ranveer.
Happy to be here, Neil. How's it going?
Pleasure to have you. It's going wonderfully. So, Ranveer, let's begin with how you invest and how you save. So, in various videos, you've kind of gone into that, but I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive in this podcast on that aspect. So, in one of your videos, you described that at different points in your life, you've set aside money in safe investments, then you focus more on your business. So, you reinvested profits back into the business. And you've outlined some regrets as well in terms of real estate and gold. So can we kind of go chronologically, and if you can describe these stages a little bit for our audience?
Yeah, sure. So basically, right out of engineering college, I knew I wanted to get into some sort of startup. And somehow life led me into the world of fitness. So it built out a fitness startup. I tried raising money. One of my potential investors said, "Why don't you do social media to market the startup that you're building?" That's how I got into the world of social media. Now, social media was fantastic. We grew really fast, but when it came to money, there was no money initially. In those days, there was no concept of brand deals or corporate shows for public speakers, etc., etc. So I had
So
to
this was
earn money
2015,
myself.
right?
Yeah, 2015. I was like 22. So I actually began training people to make money, and that's where I earned my first bit of money in cash. So for the first 2 years of my career, which is from age 22 to 24, I barely invested any money at all. Like you can pretty much say nothing, and that's actually the big regret now. I wish that I'd set aside a bit, but in saying that, I feel like if you make bootstrapping your passion in terms of business, and if you know what you're doing, and if you are genuinely hopeful, and if you're a little bit methodical about it, your business can be a fantastic investment. So I don't regret bootstrapping my business in those 2 years as well. And even at this stage, from age 27 to hopefully by the time I turn 29, which is June of this year, these will be 2 more years of almost complete bootstrapping. While we have invested in other high risk assets, but personally for me, my self identity is I'm a bootstrap business person. I enjoy that style of business, and it's worked for me in the past. So for me, business was the big investment in those 2 years.
Right. So Ranveer, you've outlined that you invest in portfolio management services or PMS in one of your videos.
Yeah.
So could you give us some detail on that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, at 24, I realized, okay, I got to kind of play a personal finance game as well. I was dating someone who was very savvy when it came to money, and she used to give me a lot of, I'm not allowed to cuss, right? She used to give me a lot of, let's just say, tras, which is a Maharashtra word for trouble.
I'm
She used to give me
Maharashtrian,
a lot
so
of
yes.
Oh, okay. So she used to give me a lot of tras about not investing my money. Though we were making good money by social media by this point, my intention completely was okay, let's continue bootstrapping. If the profits are increasing, let's throw in even more money. She came in and said that no, listen, you got to do some kind of safe investment, low risk, low return. So she used to encourage me to do FDs. But when I kind of dived in a bit, okay, so here's the deal with personal finance. I'm an engineer, I'm self taught when it comes to personal finance. And I figured pretty soon that, okay, rather than FDs, I should go for something like SIPs. So I invested in SIPs and gold in a little bit in those from age 24 to 26. I wish I'd invested a little more in gold early on. I kind of just did token investments back then. That's why I say that not investing in gold early on was a mistake for me. But SIPs worked out. And by age 24 or 25, somewhere along the line, I started working with a portfolio management service because, again, my passion is business. My passion is YouTubing, filmmaking, etc. And I don't want to actively think of money. While I know the basics of stock trading, it's not something I wish to do with my personal time because I feel at the end of the day, personal finance is a method to buy yourself freedom. And that's how all your investments kind of should line up. You should plan out your investments such that you plan out your freedom at a particular age in your life. And for me, the money we're getting from our businesses or from filmmaking or from YouTube helps me more with that freedom game in the long term. Therefore, I
Right.
don't wish to personally dive into the world of stock trading, even though I know the basics. I've done a little bit of it. For me, it's a PMS firm. So again, I think back then the minimum used to be 25 lakhs. I think it's increased now to about
Yes.
50.
50. Yes.
So yeah, I worked my way up to earning about 30, 35 lakhs cumulatively, I believe, like in my bank account, not counting the assets I'd bought for the business. And when I had that cushion of about 10 lakh rupees, put 25 in the portfolio management service to begin. I also believe that cushion factor is very crucial. That's how I look at a lot of big investments even now. I ensure that after I'm done with whatever investments I want to do, it could be business, it could be assets. I always have some kind of cushion left because, as they say, if it affects your mental health, then it's too expensive, bro. So
Right.
that's what it's.
Right. So before we discuss the PMS, because I'm curious to know more, you said you did SIP. So how did you pick your mutual funds back then?
Honestly, I had a lot of smart friends, man. Once you go through engineering college, again, it's an underrated aspect of personal finance. Not everyone has the motivation to educate themselves about every single subject. Even for me, we're running a podcast now, and for me, that's higher education. That's self education. I'm learning through incredibly smart people. So I have people like Nikhil Kamath or Nitin Kamath advising me on how to invest my money. I mean, that you can't have a better scenario than that. So back then, I had great friends from engineering college who just told me that you take up these mutual funds, invest your money in these SIPs, etc., etc.
Right. And so post that you moved to PMS, and how's your experience been with PMS?
Really good. Like the one I work with, I don't know if I'm supposed to name drop or not supposed to name drop, but
Totally your call.
yeah, it's called KR Choksi. My family's been working with them for ages, and they invest in the equity market, and they know what they're doing. It's done well for me. As morbid as this sounds, it's performed well over the course of the lockdown. So I trust them with their money. It's kind of for me, my portfolio now it's swollen up. We've invested over the years. I've kind of just kept it and forgotten about it. Because I have a business partner named Harshil Karya of Shabang who I'm building my next big product with, and he says that everybody needs a stash of FU money. So for me, that's my FU money, where it's just in the bank. It's multiplying at a significantly higher rate than what banks would give you, and you forget about it. It's for a rainy day.
Right. Now you've outlined two regrets in one of your videos. One is gold, which you mentioned. You wish you had put more into gold. The other is commercial real estate. So, what made you think of commercial real estate particularly? How do you view that?
Okay. Yeah, so with gold, the scene was my kind of hesitation with buying gold always was where will I store it? I see the thing is if you're a creative professional, you're inherently slightly disorganized. So you don't want to take that thras again of like storing gold somewhere. We didn't have options like digital gold back then. Now I've kind of increased my spends when it comes to digital gold. That's like asset classes like that. When it comes to real estate, again, it's an outcome of having the right friends in the right places. A lot of people from my parents' generation, your parents' generation, think about buying houses basically. But I feel, again, you shouldn't buy a house until you have until the house is equal to 10% of your total net worth. When it's money that you don't mind throwing away. And I feel like you shouldn't sign any contracts, you shouldn't sign up for any EMIs until that point. I'm not a fan, honestly, of EMIs. I do not I don't like for my car or for my house. I try paying upfront because I don't want, for me, right? I don't want that tension of having sort of a loan to pay off in my head. I'm a creative professional. I need to keep my head cool. So rather than buying an entire flat, rather than investing in real estate like that, we've begun investing a little bit in REITs and especially related to commercial real estate. And if at all I wish to buy real estate at some point, it will be commercial real estate. And this is only because I've been advised by the right people. I am not a real estate expert, but I know kind of surface level enough about it to know where to keep my money safe.